Inside the Classroom is brought to you by NYSUT, a union of more than 600,000 professionals dedicated to education, human services, and healthcare. NYSUT is proud to partner with parents in advocating for what students need. We stand for excellence in public education from preschool through post-grad. Find us online at nysut.org.
We're here with Paul Szymendera, a high school social studies teacher at Sweet Home High School and also a technology coach there. Welcome to another edition of Inside the Classroom. Thanks for joining us, Paul.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been teaching and what you teach?
Okay. I've been a public school teacher for the past over 20 years. I've been at Sweet Home High School now 20 years. In that time, I've taught Global 9. And more recently, I've been teaching an honors class for AP World History. It goes by really fast. It's amazing. I have a couple of gray hairs to show it, but 20 years goes by. But it's amazing when you find a job that you don't feel like you're working, even though you're working really hard. Yeah. How much fun it is and what a blast it's been.
It is. Now, for our viewers that don't know what AP stands for, tell us a little bit about what AP World History is.
Advanced Placement. So AP is a class that typically we would call honors students who might take that. And across the world, there's a standardized test that's given out every May where people from Europe and Asia and the United States are all taking the same exact test at the exact same time. And many colleges accept that as credit towards coursework that students may take while in college.
Yeah, my daughter took a lot of AP courses, but I'm telling you kids, if you're going to an Ivy League school like Penn, they won't take it for credit.
It's true.
But it does look good on a transcript, so it's still important.
Well, that's one of the things that we focus in on. The way Sweet Home approaches AP World History, it's a 2-year curriculum, where in 9th grade we call it honors, which is very much a transition from middle school to high school, and then quickly through high school to college level, all in one school year. And then by the time they're sophomores, kind of like the New York State Global Curriculum, you would take the test at the end of your second year, and you're typically being a sophomore. But we really have an approach in trying to get all kids to at least experience the class. And statistically, we're told over and over at our AP College Board training sessions, that even a student who participates in a class and maybe doesn't score high enough to receive college credit for colleges that accept it, that having just experienced the class, the chances of a student staying in college and finishing in 4 years dramatically increases.
Right, that retention level is so important too. I mean, when they're taking out student loans and they're working toward a degree, it's important that we keep them in school and that they finish with something that they can use and go into a career with, and that's paramount. But I think that students are all anxious come summer. They get the results and it's on a score of 1 to 5. So they're looking to see, did I earn a 3? Isn't it 3 or better where
Correct.
You'll get credit? At a lot of colleges, I know a lot of state schools accept that for credit. So that's wonderful that Sweet Home has that philosophy, because I think the more inclusive we are and the more students that we have taking challenging courses, the better off they'll be when they get to college. The more prepared they'll be and ready to compete with students from all over the world. But I know you have some other roles at Sweet Home as well.
Sure.
You are a tech coordinator.
Coach,
so
yes.
tell us what coach. So tell us what a technology coach does.
So for the past 4 years, 5 years, we're going on our 5th year, I believe. Sweet Home has adopted iPads for students from 6th grade all the way through 12th grade that they're issued by the school, where literally everything is now being done via a tablet in this case. And as you might imagine, a huge, overwhelming amount of learning curve there for the teachers and students alike. And I think one of the things that's always interesting is people often think that the students know more than the teachers because they're exposed to technology. They're technology natives, so to speak. And
we're the digital
and
immigrants.
we're the immigrants, exactly. And while that may be true on the surface, if you dig even just a little bit deeper, students need to learn how to use technology appropriately and how best to use it academically, of course. So there's been a huge amount of training that our school has had to embark upon to make sure that everyone's ready, because when the day that they were passed out to the students, you could walk in as a teacher and there's 25 kids just waiting to find out what you're going to do with this really handsome device in their hands. It's been a couple years now, so just like anything, the novelty has worn off a little bit. But still, the techniques and the different approaches that teachers take are continuing to be considered and thought about and trained on every single day, every single marking period and school year. So it's a big job. As a technology coach, we have at Sweet Home, we have 3 technology coaches in our district, 2 at the high school who teach part of the day, which is how I'm set up. So I'll teach 3 classes, and the other half of my day is dedicated to kind of being signed out by other teachers. So I'll push into their classroom where I can help them integrate technology practices and techniques, or just maybe do a quick seminar for the kids on how to use a particular app or a web-based program so that they could be successful with various projects that they might be working on. We also have a tech coach at our middle school doing the same role as that, because we're 2 separate buildings. But it's a big job. A lot of our work started off with staff development days, where the superintendent would ask us to create sort of a restaurant menu of choices where teachers could sign up and begin to think about how they might see themselves using technology in the classroom. And we had sessions that were set up all day long for teachers to pick and choose from, so that they could, again, get involved in something that they thought they might have an interest in, or something that might seem cool, or something that might be an entry point for them to first start off. Because again, the last thing a teacher would want to do is feel uncomfortable in the classroom, or to really be the person who doesn't know more than the kids when trying to use something.
Right.
So that could be overwhelming if you're not really prepared. So we spent a lot of time developing training and then actually training on things like staff development day during faculty meetings, and then like in-service type courses that might be held outside the school day or during the summertime. So one of my other roles that I have at Sweet Home is being a teacher center director. Throughout New York State, we have 130 teacher centers that are a statewide program. It's funded through a state grant, and every single teacher center has a policy board where they govern how the expenditures are being taken care of and what kind of priorities they might want.
Yep, and I'm actually on the policy board for the Orleans Niagara Teacher Center.
Sure.
And I just have to say, teacher centers do so much to help with staff development in relation to teacher education and continuing our education. We have some wonderful courses at the Orleans Niagara Teacher Center. If there's any teachers out there from our neck of the woods, we have an excellent menu of selections to really improve your knowledge on apps and technology, and all kinds of reading strategies for teachers. So we have an array of offerings that teachers can choose from, and I really think teacher centers are a vital part of our education for teachers, because a lot of times in the teacher centers it's teachers teaching teachers.
That's
which
exactly right.
is what I love. So
yeah, the best part about the Teacher Center program is that many of those courses that teachers participate in, again, whether it's after school or during the summertime, they're really bottom-up type courses where they are sessions that are designed by teachers themselves who have come across something that they like or something they've used, something they've collaborated with other grade level team teachers, and now said, I can't keep this to myself. We've got to share this out. We've got to go ahead and help others, understand how to make the most of various things. And the Teacher Center world really does a fantastic job of promoting that. The Orleans Niagara Teacher Center, for example, last year and again a little bit later in the summer, they're hosting a technology summit where I'll be teaching a couple classes, of course. And again, you sign up. I think it's being held at Niagara University, where there's a menu of different courses that you sign up for, you pre-register for. And there are all these different things that other people who have explored a little bit more, who have taken a little bit of time to try to get ahead of the curve, are willing to share. And it's really fantastic that our state continues to support a program that is really bottom-up professional development. Certainly NYSUT is a huge supporter and a tremendous lobbyer for teacher centers and the programs that are available. It's not easy. Every year we have annual conferences where we attend together as directors throughout the whole state in Albany. This past year, Mary Ellen Elia was one of our guests, and I think she really understood the value that teacher centers offer back to their school districts. Orleans Niagara, for example, is a consortium district where many different schools, almost 20 schools I believe in Orleans and Niagara County, all utilize that teacher center versus a very small center like Sweet Home, where we're just a single district. But when we all get together, very similar to how grade level teachers will collaborate, teacher center directors do the same thing, offering different courses and different things that teachers from all over the area could attend and participate with.
Yeah, and Commissioner Elio is actually a Sweet Home teacher at one time, so I'm sure she understands, having been a teacher and having been in the trenches, she understands the value that teacher centers provide for our teachers and ultimately for our students. And
her very first school day, which was now 2 years ago, she came back to Sweet Home, and sure enough, she came and visited a classroom. Happened to be a Global 9 history class that she visited on the first day, and we had a really great morning. So it was great that she supports public education the way she does. She champions teacher centers, and we're very proud of that.
Yes, we are very happy that we have a commissioner that supports public education, that supports teacher centers. I think that that's critical.
Who educates and assists our state students, provides medical care and support, and strengthens our communities? We do. NYSUT members are classroom teachers, college faculty and staff, nurses, and healthcare professionals. We're cafeteria workers, bus drivers, teacher aides, and teaching assistants. We're more than 600,000 caring, supportive professionals living and working in communities across New York State. We are NYSUT. We make a difference.
So tell us a little bit about the lesson that our viewers are going to see today. I know that you're a believer in formative assessment and making sure that you have checkpoints for students. So tell us a little bit about what students are doing in your classroom and what our viewers are going to see.
Well, one of the things that I've begun to work with in my own teaching, it's been 20 years that I've been in the classroom, and constantly trying to find ways to remind myself as a teacher on how to navigate through even a daily lesson, let alone just a unit. So formative assessments, a word that we've been using an awful lot in public education, and it's really based off of a lot of work that Robert Marzano would have, and he wrote a book a couple years back, The Art and Science of Teaching. So the title itself begs the question, is teaching more of an art or is it more of a science? So as art, you believe that you're a performer, and I believe that. We perform in front of students every single day, and some of them may not want to be there as much as maybe some others. So there really is this salesmanship quality that a teacher has while performing. But at the same point, you have to be using the science of teaching to understand when to take the next step or when to backtrack and when you have to fill some gaps. So formative assessments does that. It checkpoints throughout a lesson. A teacher needs to understand if a student got it, because if they didn't, if I just keep on going, then that's a problem. So the black box theory, right? You just can't keep on going and not have any idea if your students have learned something. So throughout any lesson, and the one that's highlighted today, we'll have where students are using that checkpoint and the teacher is using that, gathering information through web-based tools and checking to see if I need to go over and help some students more exclusively, or at a student pace lesson where the kids can keep on moving because they do get it and they are getting feedback on their understandings throughout a particular topic.
Okay, well let's take a look on inside the classroom at your social studies class.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. You can see that we're working our way through World Religions Review, so this is part of our final exam review session. Today we're going to focus specifically on world religions. So as you begin to update your own learning logs, maybe some of you have taken snap pictures into your notes. Each of our tables will work on a specific religion, and then we'll share out to the rest of the class some of our findings as you review your own notes and different things on the internet, our notebook, and so forth. So if you haven't already, please go ahead and download the page into your worksheet on Notability. It should look like this. From there, I want you to spend a few moments individually working on the first part. So as a little brain dump, what can you remember? It's been a while since we've talked about world religions. What can you remember about specific things? So if I go to the top of the page, I'll give you a little hint. All right, during our brain dump, I want you to just go ahead and put down, maybe there's people, the region of the world, holy books, places of worship. Go ahead and take a couple of minutes individually without talking with your neighbors just yet. I want you just to drop down any words you could think of. So take a few moments. I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes to work on that, and then I'll ask you to go into the next part, which is the answer garden. Okay? Go ahead and get started. It looks like people have a variety of responses. Here's what I'd like you to do next. In Schoology, I've written a little answer garden for each of the 6 religions on the board. So if you tap on Schoology and find the religion that your table's working on, please go into the answer garden now and drop in those words that you're looking at. Okay? So whatever words you may have put down, and this will allow your table to see how often some of those words were used, and then you could judge where there may still be some gaps. So once you're finished with working on categorizing the facts versus beliefs and practices, I'd like for you to then go to the belief systems chart. I have it up on the projector where you could see each of your 6 religions is there. Your job is to complete just that row. So just looking at, so the first group you're working on Judaism, go through and answer those couple of questions there so that the chart's complete. When you're done, snapshot it and put it up into the media album. Okay, take a look at whoever's got the best version of it. Make sure that you guys agree that those are the right responses. So if you could please, I've got a Quizlet live board waiting for you. So if you want to go to Quizlet.live. Okay, you ready? Let's start the game. Have fun. Talk with your table partners. Make sure you're clicking on the right one.
Let's go. Last prophet of God. Muhammad.
The Tigers are out to a lead with 9.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, how nice, the Tigers. All right, before we move to the next part, let's take a look at how we did, all right? So you could click on your own stats. I'll click on the class stats so we know where we may have had some confusion. Okay? So looking at the board, you can take a peek with me. Judaism, there's some different concepts here that maybe we tapped a little quickly with polytheism. So be careful. Judaism, of course, is a monotheistic faith. But before we finish today, let's go back and make sure that we take a look at this green box. So what are the big ideas of world religions? Because it doesn't really matter which religion you're talking about yet. What do they all do for the community of their followers? Today we did an answer garden for all 6 of these major world religions that we studied, jogging our memory of different terms and different things that we should associate with each particular religion. I've made sure on Schoology that our old tests and quizzes are available so you can go back to look at those and study. But the last question for us to consider is, what would a possible essay question be if the essay question was about world religions?
Okay, we're back on Inside the Classroom. Thank you for sharing your class with us today, Paul.
You're welcome.
Tell us a little bit about, you're wearing a Think Tech shirt. Tell
Yes,
us a little
thank
bit
you. You
about
noticed.
what that is. Yes.
Think Tech is a group that I've helped organize with several other teachers, where we're beginning to develop apps, formative assessment style apps. We've got one on the way. We're working with a local company in the city of Buffalo, Helm, and we're trying to develop easy, simple tools that a teacher could use throughout a given lesson. And again, get back feedback and information, statistics on how well students are understanding something. The first app that we're working on is called Sort It, where students have to figure out different categories of vocabulary words or math formulas or different things, and how it can be placed in various topics. So with this app suite, we're hoping, anyway, that a teacher could use a variety of different tools and students could be engaged in a process where they are getting feedback and the teacher's getting some understanding. So one of the cornerstones that we're using is an acronym PONDER, P-O-N-D-R-R. And when students produce something, they can take ownership in something and while note making. So the first little phase of Ponder is students typically working as they might any lesson without using this system. But where ThinkTech, along with its apps, is beginning to take the next step is we're doing a D, R, and R. So students are now donating to the rest of the class and they're reflecting on their work and then they're getting a chance to revise things. Many years ago, I attended a tech conference that Alan November was the key speaker, and 1990 something, if I could date myself a little bit. Yep. But he always said, and I've heard this in many different conferences as well, where wouldn't it be great if you could talk to a class in the UK, or wouldn't it be great if you could just, and you'd sit there as a participant, and it just seems so unrealistic. Now, Wi-Fi and things 20 years later
and
have
Skype,
gotten
right.
much
you can
better,
Skype a class in
and you
the
could
UK.
video conference and things, but it's still unlikely. We've been in iPads for the past several years at Sweet Home, and it's really difficult to make those leaps into finding a common class to work on something collaboratively. So I argue that you could make a collaborative or an audience right in your own classroom when you donate to your class. Mm-hmm. So if we could just get students to have a platform that when they respond to something, say it's a blog post, mm-hmm. and right within a particular class, the kids can respond to each other. So that's when things are different. There's the old saying where students want to do work. They want to do
engaged,
well. They want to be
right.
engaged. But when their audience is only the teacher, they want to do it good enough. They want to get a good grade. But all of a sudden, when their audience is their classmates, now they want to do really well.
Right, now the
no one
stakes
wants
are
to
a
be
little
Absolutely.
higher, right.
So with every lesson, I try to use Ponder, where the kids are able to donate their responses back to the class, make them accountable, help them be responsible for quality, professional level work. Mm-hmm. And as soon as you have a chance to begin to read others' work, and you get a chance to reread your own work, you can now be reflective. Mm-hmm. And what I've tried to really incorporate into my unit lesson designs is a chance for students to revise their work.
Really,
and that's the third R, or the second R, so the DRR. So once you could reflect, and if you could revise, teachers will be amazed at how much better student work is. And if you ask kids, if I gave you one more day, who'd raise your hand and do a little bit better tonight to turn it back in tomorrow? You'd be amazed how many students would take that. As a technology coach, the real challenge is to figure out how to do that. A typical high school or middle school teacher might have 100, 125, 150 students. So to provide feedback to them in a timely basis is a huge challenge. So everyone thinks at 2:30 when the bell rings, the teacher's done.
Oh no.
Not true.
Not true at all.
But how could you allow for students to have immediate feedback, and that's have them work together. So think, pair, share is a great technique that I use all the time in class, where students are actually sharing with one another. But while using digital tools, you could begin to use it through the whole class. And sometimes the kid who is the quietest student in your room has the loudest voice on the blog as they're typing things in, and they're typing paragraphs upon paragraphs. And it's amazing what students, when given the opportunity, can really produce for the rest of their classmates.
Yeah, we have Google Classroom at Lewiston Porter,
Sure.
and at Lew-Port High School now, all of our students at the high school have Chromebooks, and I just love using Google Classroom because you can share a document with students and they can collaborate with one another, and
Right.
one student can be typing into the document while another student's giving feedback or commenting as well. And I think it's a great kind of real-time, authentic way to give students feedback on their work almost immediately, and they love that instant gratification of, okay, what do people think of this right now, right away in this particular class period.
Right. It's real easy for a teacher to ask a question and one ambitious student always raise their hand, and if a teacher is caught up in time, they keep on answering that's having
going
that
to
same student
answer, right.
and you don't really know, back to the black box theory, you don't really know if everybody else is learning. But in a Google Classroom or in a Schoology-based room, you literally are getting that kind of feedback constantly, and again, the kids are having feedback with them. Part of the lesson that we watched, I had the students as a part of the lesson where they were playing a game. It was an app. Now, the game was fun, which engaged them, but it was giving me all kinds of stats back on what students really knew or understood, or what we needed to focus a little bit more on.
I have one more question for you,
Okay.
though. Why did you want to become a teacher?
Oh, gosh. I think in high school, which is a little while back now, and you fill out those bubble forms on what your career day and all that kind of stuff was, I just really liked the idea of coaching. I thought, wouldn't it be great to be a coach? And I had been at Sweet Home a baseball and football coach for many years. And today I still coach my sons in their little league. I thought it was really neat. I didn't know what I was really signing up for when I bubbled in social studies teacher. I think I literally did it during a social studies class. I went to Buff State, wonderful college, to really get a good foundation on teaching methods and different things. And over the years, Sweet Home has been an incredible district to offer professional development. I've taken every opportunity I can to not only be a participant, but certainly these days I'm now the teacher of those courses, and it's interesting teaching adults as opposed to teaching students. So I think I just really enjoy giving what I've got and watching other people succeed
Yeah,
too.
well, thank you so much for sharing everything with us that
You're welcome.
you have to offer. There's so much to learn from Paul, with your experience in technology and your years in the classroom. So I appreciate you coming on today and joining us on this
Thank you for
edition
having
of
me.
Inside the Classroom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We get you started early. We stay with you in middle school. We see you through graduation, college, and beyond, realizing potential every step of the way. We're New York State United Teachers, 600,000 professionals dedicated to excellence in public education. But that's not all. We also provide healthcare and human services to New Yorkers of all ages. We're NYSET, caring for patients, working for students, working with our communities.
Inside the Classroom is brought to you by NYSET, a union of more than 600,000 professionals dedicated to education, human services, and healthcare. NYSET is proud to partner with parents in advocating for what students need. We stand for excellence in public education from preschool through post-grad. Find us online at nyset.org.